What's up, everyone? Francis Ufamadu here, and this is Way to Work. My thoughts on recording on the way to work. If you Google The Daily Show / donate, it'll give you an opportunity to donate to the NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, the Bail Project, and the Equal Justice Initiative. These are great ways to combat social and racial injustice within the court system. So take a look at that when you have a chance. The link will be in my bio in Instagram, in my video, and in the descriptions of this podcast. So y'all look out for that, okay? PSA, because I didn't think writing wasn't enough. People, I am on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube. Yes, that's right. You seen it on Instagram is just a promo for that. So take a look at it when you have a chance. You can still listen on the go while you're doing other things on the phone since it is on iTunes and Spotify. But if you search Francis Ufamadu, you can find Way to Work. My podcast is there. I was talking to some friends yesterday, and they said, you got to promote, man. You got to promote way more. You got to push it and shove it down people's throats. At first, I wanted to be modest about it, but it's all good. I'll just continue to keep trying to advertise it and keep pushing it in multiple ways. This is a journey. This is a growth. I'm still getting my legs under me, and I'm enjoying the journey so far. So I'm just gonna keep continuing to grow and see other ways to improve. So you know what it is. You know what it is. It has been. I had to take a week and a couple of days off. It's been hard. It's been a hard. It's been a hard couple of days. Not only are we fighting a pandemic, not only is there clear, visible hate in the world that we have to also combat and try to change and do our part. You can also, unfortunately, run into loss. And that's something I had to deal with recently. Big shout out to my dog, my brother, Sam Phillips, RIP, my man. You mean a lot to me. And I love you, brother. I really do. I really do. Um, Unfortunately, I had to bury my guy yesterday, and it was a tough day. It was definitely a tough day. I had the opportunity to speak at his funeral, which is something I didn't realize I would appreciate. But I got to say some loving words. I also got to write him a letter and leave it with him before I left. But definitely want to just commend the family for the strength that they had. Um, for them to still run the ceremony during these times, during the pandemic, it's definitely something that I will appreciate always. They very could have easily just said, you know what, it's just gonna be a tight family thing, tight family ceremony. We don't want to have this too open, and I mean, understandably, we would have been okay with it. But they had the strength to put on the ceremony for him. You could tell that they were going through it um, on a different level than certain people because that was their family member, that was their son, that was their sibling. So it's definitely not easy for them right now. So just have those people in your prayers. The Phillips family, they're in my prayers currently. If you don't know Sam Phillips, he's a great, courageous man. He left an impact on everyone he met, whether it's one time, 1 year, or 10 years. It don't matter. He had a powerful impact on people, and it was something beautiful to kind of look back on. It wasn't something that I was thinking about at the time, or even thinking about during the time we were living together or just hanging out more constantly. I just didn't see it until unfortunately he was gone, and I just sat back and realized that what he had about him, what he had inside of him, was supernatural. The impact he had on people was just effortless, and that's something I could strive for in my life. Making sure that I'm checking up on people, making sure that I'm making sure that the relationships I create are more open and more open for positivity. And again, he was just a beautiful soul. There was a story that someone else, his coworker, had spoke. His coworker and boss had actually spoke at his funeral, and they'd only known Sam for a year. And just the way they spoke about him showed the kind of impact he had on people. I've known him for about 10 years going now. I think I met him in 2011. So about going on 10 years, I knew him, and he knew them for a year, and it was still the same feels. And that's just, something to kind of consider. What kind of person was he, to be able to have an impact on someone that he's known for a year versus someone that had 10 plus, 9 plus, let's say, and still, have the same result. And that was something beautiful to see. But that's something I've been dealing with, and it's been tough. A lot of the days I didn't want to even record. I did have an opportunity to have one last day with him last November. We hung out, went to a Baylor game. On that trip, he was actually my very first podcast guest. So if you're interested, if you want to know who Sam was somewhat through a conversation, I can send that to you. Don't think I'll post it publicly at least until I know what I want to do with it myself. But I do know if people reach out and want to hear it or listen to it, I'm more than willing to show you the link to it. So y'all look out for that if you're interested. But again, just big shout out to my guy Sam Phillips. He will be missed, but he will make a lot of us stronger for it. So thank you, Sam, for everything you've done, and I love you, brother. Love you. Moving on. I had the opportunity to speak with someone from work. He was a user, so he was basically a client that I had to help, and he told me a story about the first black person he ever met. The first black person he ever met back in the 80s, I want to say. The first black person he ever met was on his college football team. So I can't remember the town he came from, but it was a small town. He's never met a black person, but the first time he met a black person was in college. And he told me it actually happened to be Mr. T's older brother. If you don't know Mr. T, he pity the fool. You know Mr. T. I pity fool. The bad guy from Rocky 3, come on. You know Mr. T. Anyway, he roommated? Is that a word? Roommated? He was roommates with Mr. T's older brother. And they played football together. And again, like I said before, this was in college, so he met his first black person in college. And he told me Mr. T's brother actually met his first white person in college. So they were each other's first white and black person. And he was just saying, I was able to connect with him quickly because he had a love for Motown. And I said, damn, that's beautiful to hear, bruh. Obviously, I was at work. I didn't say, that's beautiful to hear, bruh. But he was like, yeah, we connected instantly through our love for Motown. And I was just like, man, musical is very powerful. He said, I know, right? I know. And he was just he's been paying attention to everything that's going on. And he said, yeah, it's tough times. It's way better than it used to be. It is way better than it used to be, but there's still change to be done. And that was something that stuck with me after that conversation. So I know it's better than it used to be, but don't let that be an excuse to not change or not think you have to change. There's a lot of hate in the world, and I would really love to combat it. I really love to get to the root of it, and I don't think there's any clear answer or path at this moment, but I'm going to just make sure I can put out the positive messages I can and just try to pursue a better tomorrow with my voice, with my content, and try to do my part that way. And on this journey, I'll probably even find better ways to contribute, but it's not going to be a quick fix, and that's something that a lot of us need to understand. Don't get tired. It's going to make you tired, but don't get tired and quit. Let's keep going. Let's keep finding ways to contribute. Let's keep finding ways to make the conversations continue. And make sure that we're chasing the blessed day, Who knows if we'll ever get to see it? But I wouldn't mind dying knowing that I tried my best and put in all the energy I could to get to that point. So just thoughts. Way to work. My thoughts and recording on the way to work. Also, another PSA before I leave you. I used to record these podcasts on the way to work. After the pandemic, I haven't been having to drive to work. Therefore, I no longer am ever on the way to work when I do these things. But I love the title so much and I'm keeping it. So if you're ever wondering, that's why. That's the story behind it. Also, I have made an excuse saying, well, technically, life is work. So technically, we're always on the way to work. Boom. Take that for you. Take it how you need to. Whatever it is, way to work, baby. That's the title, and that's what we sticking to it. Sticking to. That's what we're sticking with. But y'all be blessed out there. Y'all be beautiful. Just wanted to say a couple of words to make sure I could get back on the horse. Like I said, it's been heavy. It's been tough. And I'm sure it's been heavy and tough for other people in the world as well. So have your grieving moments. Have your downtime. But make sure you get back up and keep moving forward. That's the most important part. You're allowed to fall. You're allowed to fail. But only success and strength comes from that. So y'all be beautiful. Y'all be blessed. Big old peace out.